Going into 2025, my most anticipated series of television by a landslide was Daredevil Born Again. I couldn't wait to see this character in the MCU. I was really excited for the show. And I'm going to be honest with you, after having finally sat down and watched the entire show, I actually really liked it. Now, I see why a lot of people have been throwing a lot of hate at this show. Now, just for some context, although I'm really ashamed to admit this, I haven't actually watched the Netflix Daredevil show. I know, everyone says it's like the best comic book show of all time. I just haven't gone around to it. I'll probably love it from what I've seen in clips and stuff. It looks great. So there are things that I imagine that if you'd been a fan or if I'd seen the TV show, I probably would have not liked so much about the show. Like I hear how in season 3 there was some Daredevil Born Again arc that already happened, and they're doing this again, so this time it's Daredevil Born Again, Born Again. But no, this show is not the best series of television ever. But man, did I have a blast with it. Daredevil Born Again is a blast, and it was almost great. Let me explain. Hi all, I'm the Grinning Critic and I love talking about movies and the occasional TV show from time to time with a grin on my face. Luckily today I can talk about Daredevil Born Again with a grin on my face because I just had a lot of fun watching this show. Now to talk about this show, I'm going to be talking about some spoilers throughout the season, so that is a spoiler warning. Now, I love the character of Daredevil. I think he is a very well written character. I think he's got a great moral standpoint. I find him very fascinating as a character. He just feels real and far more grounded. A lot of these superheroes, they just feel too fantastical, and I really appreciate just how grounded and realistic and gritty the character of Daredevil feels. And Charlie Cox is fantastic as Daredevil. He is so great in the role. And I love the idea, yes, I know you guys, if you've seen the Netflix show, would have already seen this happen in season 3, but I really like the arc of having Daredevil be a character who has to rebuild himself, who doesn't want to be a vigilante after almost killing someone when he has a moral code of not killing people. That's such a compelling draw for a character to move away from crime. I liked how they let Poindexter live. I thought that made the story more impactful because you got to see how Daredevil would respond to Poindexter, how he would treat him, and that to me is just really fascinating. Surprisingly, the thing I didn't know was that I actually really liked Daredevil when he was just Matt Murdock. The series also does a great job at making the lawyer aspect seem really interesting. The White Tiger arc in this series, it's great. So essentially, there's an arc in this series where this vigilante known as the White Tiger is put on trial, and Daredevil's working with him to try and make him innocent. This was such a great arc for the series. It shows Daredevil contemplating whether he should be a vigilante or not. It's a real challenge to him dealing with a vigilante. How does he frame the case when he doesn't like vigilantes, but is also one himself? This is a very fascinating arc. I thought it was really well explored. Vincent D'Onofrio is excellent as Kingpin. I just think he's a really menacing character. He plays him really well. He's got some great presence in the room. And I also really liked Kingpin's assistant in the show, Daniel. He's a character who's mostly played off for comedic relief. But if you look deeper, there's something that I find very fascinating about this character. A character who has fallen victim into believing the corrupted ideologies that were made by a criminal, who's now the mayor, who has been brainwashed by the message that Kingpin is sending out to the city that he'll be good for New York, and he'll help out New York, get rid of vigilantes. And it's a little detail, but I really appreciated this. Near the end of the season, you see that Daniel's dress has slightly changed, as in his clothing. He now wears clothes that are more like Kingpin, to try and be a mirror image of him, as he now views Kingpin as an idol. This was really great stuff here. I loved all that. On the most part, I think this show looks really good. There are some fantastic lighting used in many sequences that really enhances their mood. There's some really beautiful cinematography in here. But I'll admit, the TV show does look a bit funny at times. It sometimes looks a bit too over-glossy and just too expensive for the show that it should be. I've seen in clips that the Netflix Daredevil series had a far lower budget and it looked far more gritty as a result. I kind of wish we got that gritty look carried over here because I think that really would have enhanced the story, because sometimes the show just looks a bit too expensive for its own good. And as for the fight choreography, some of it I think is really excellent, not gonna lie. Some of it is great, but some of it looks a bit too cartoonish in how it's being constructed. I wish we weren't doing so much CGI action, it just comes across as lazy. John Bernthal makes a return as the Punisher. Now, while it's fantastic to see this Punisher character, I really liked his performance by John Bernthal, and there's a fantastic scene where Daredevil confronts him and talks about the death of Foggy. That was some really powerful stuff. But what I didn't like was how the Punisher felt like an underutilized character. He appeared in the end, and I just wish we'd seen a bit more of him. I wish he had a bit more of an arc. Daredevil isn't Daredevil for half a season, but as I mentioned, I really liked him as a lawyer. I do, however, wish that the Daredevil arc was as fulfilling as the lawyer arc. The Daredevil arc felt a bit last minute, and I don't think it really worked. It clearly shows that this show was heavily reworked in reshoots, and it just doesn't come together. The pieces just don't quite fit. It just doesn't really work as well as it should have. The Daredevil arc just felt so rushed. I hope that season 2 can just be a great season of Daredevil. Because we've had a season of setup, we can now just get a season that's going to be a good Daredevil show, because the groundwork has been laid out for a really good show. I wish that this show did have a bit more of a resolution to it. It just felt a bit unsatisfying the way that things ends didn't tie up the way that they should have, in terms of that between Heather and Matt, or between Kingpin and Matt, or Punisher and Matt. Really, a lot of stuff between Daredevil. Funny that. Anyway, I just wish that this show had a more fulfilling end to it, because the end just felt so rushed. I would have preferred if we got a 13 episode season like the Netflix seasons were. This 9 episode season just felt like it was too little. But for all its flaws, I actually really enjoyed Daredevil Born Again. I thought this was a really good Marvel TV show that questioned the morality of vigilantes, had some very interesting political commentary to make, was thought-provoking, but it felt like it was reworked a bit in reshoots, and the arc of the character of Daredevil was nowhere near as satisfying as the arc of Matt Murdock the lawyer, which is really sad to say. Nonetheless, I'm going to give Daredevil Born Again a B+, because I really liked it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm the Grinning Critic, and don't forget to subscribe to me. It'll keep me grinning, that's for sure.